Woo! What do you guys think? You guys ready to do this? It's a big day. All right, so my name is Sandra Gebhardt, and I'm going to tell you guys about the time my grandpa told me I'm a bit too much. I would spend the summers going down to my grandparents' house, right? So my grandparents they were absolutely the coolest, and my granny, I was the apple of her eye. I would tell stories. I'd spend my afternoons just hanging out with her. We'd go to buffets. We'd go to movies. She taught me how to movie hop. I was 12 years old before I realized that you actually had to pay for each movie you saw. So she never bought a packet of Sweet and Low in her life. And we would spend days going and hanging out. I had this awesome red shirt. I'll never forget this red shirt. It had two little strings that hung down and you tied it, and it was like the coolest 80s thing you could possibly dream of. Such a big deal that I actually wore it in family pictures here, which I cut my family out of. And So I'm living my best life, right? It's the 80s. I'm the coolest kid on the block. My granny thinks the sun shines on me. And my grandpa came home one day from work, and he had switched out of his work uniform into his grandpa uniform. It was a blue jumper, a romper as they call them now. Had this weird metal clasp in the front for no reason that you'd hit your head on. He had this really tall dresser, and he would always put his change and everything on. It was super tall, like this tall, right? That's me, it was perception. Anyway, so he would put his change on there, and I'm like, Grandpa, guess what? And I'm telling him about my day, right? He didn't even get to guess what. I'm like, so we got 4 new forks today and a knife, and we went and saw 6 movies, and we have a bunch of Sweet and Low if you want to put any in your coffee, and then we saw a deer, and then we saw a horse, and I'm telling him all this stuff, and he looks down at me and he goes, Sandy, you sure talk a lot. I was like, damn. That's my job. My job is to make sure everybody feels included, everybody feels entertained. I'm telling my stories. Look at me. Do you want to hear a story from me? And in that moment was the first time ever I realized that maybe it was a bit too much. Started looking at things a little bit differently. And I started noticing the older I got, the more I heard it. You're too loud. You're too driven. You're too ambitious. You think too differently. Your hair's never quite right. You dress different. You're too much of a tomboy. Nobody's going to love you if ... And as I grew older, I started letting those things kind of sink in a little bit. And fast forward to about 14 years old, I got this awesome pair of green Doc Martens, right? Like I'm walking to school, I'm like, you girls notice anything? And I'm so proud of these shoes, right? And the girls at school are like, why would you get the green ones? Everyone wears the brown ones. You know, not like Kelly voice that they use. And I was like, damn, why did I do that? Right? Why am I trying to live so differently? So I took myself over to the mall, and I changed them out for brown boots, which matched this super awesome shirt perfectly. The green ones would have too. It's a versatile shirt. So I've got my brown boots, and the next day when I put them on, that's when I was really introduced to this concept of the box. And the box, as you can see, it's small. You can hold it in your hand. The outside of it has everything everybody said to you that you listen to, right? You're a bit too whatever. The negative stuff you hear in your life. On the inside, though, that's cozy. Think like Instagram fall colors, right? Everybody dresses the same, talks the same, eats the same. Think Instagram influencers, if you will, right? Like that's what the inside of the box looks like to me. It's comfortable, it's cozy, it's a safe place to be. Nobody's challenging you. You're not challenging anybody else. And everybody's just living inside the box. And I shoved myself in this box, this little tiny box, for a long time. And what I realized was there was always an ache in the back of my mind. Like, I wish I had a unique outlook on the world. I wish I could do a TEDx talk someday, right? I'm sitting in the box wishing. And I started to think, well, people have been telling you got all that stuff anyway, right? You're too ambitious, you're too driven, you're too loud. So I started looking at getting out of the box. I can tell you what worked for me. It's a difficult journey, but I married a man who absolutely ridiculously loves me and all of my too much. He is my biggest supporter and my biggest fan. He will blindly let me lead us into these crazy ideas and doing all of these insane things in business, and he just is there like a rock and is stoic. I hired mentors in Rob Sakell and Bobby Stocks. This was the first time that somebody had asked me, what unique qualities do you have? They're like, we can't sell somebody in a box. What unique qualities do you have to bring into the business world? And I was like, whoa. So this is what people have been telling me my whole life, right? And for the first time, I'm able to look at what unique qualities do I have? And I took off running, y'all. I started hanging out with different people. I started going to conferences. I started reading everything I could find, not just entertainment books, but business books. I doubled down on working with these guys, working with a group of mentors to help lift me up and find out how I can get farther and farther and farther away from this box every single day. One day I was on a call with them and they asked me, or they told me rather, Sandra, what other people think of you is none of your business. Right? That's a hard concept. But for me, in that moment in my life, now remember in the intro, they said I was voted in 1999 most eager to please by the Shepherd High School class. Like, my name literally translates to helper of mankind. And now all of a sudden, I have permission to not only step away from the box, but not care what other people think of me. Let's go. I took that and I ran. I was ready, you guys, and some of you guys are too. Some of you guys are like, got one foot in the box and you're over here and you're like, I don't know which way to go. I can tell you it's a lot more fun out here. It's a lot more fun being your authentic self. Because check this out. I've got 2 new mentors that I'm working with additionally, and Mike Young was talking to me, and he said one of the biggest changes he's seen in me is that I'm more self-aware and I'm more self-accepting, okay? And if you really think about that, the more self-aware you are and the more self-accepting you are, the less open you are to judgment. But this is the biggest part. This is the hard pill. You guys ready for this? The less judgment you put out into the world. Think about that, okay? The more self-aware you are, the more self-accepting you are, the less judgment you're willing to take in, and the less judgment you put out into the world. It's a really, really powerful statement. And I got to thinking about that, and I was like, that's right. I am less judgy. I am less Kelly. Why would you have green shoes instead of brown, right? You don't put that out. There's energy's not there anymore. And it dawned on me in that talk, as I was formulating all of this, that my grandpa, I wrote on the box, Sandy, you sure talk a lot. Looking up at my grandpa. All cute. Remember the slide? I was all cute looking up at grandpa. I wrote that on the box myself. What my grandpa did not say was, Sandy, you sure talk a lot. You have nothing to say. You're stupid. You're an idiot. Stop talking so much. What he said in that moment, a man who just drove through the desert for an hour to get back home, was, Sandy, you're talking too much right now. Now that, I do, and I do it a lot. Some of you know. So that is part of this self-aware and self-accepting. Less judgment you put out into the world, less judgment you accept back from people. So if you're not self-aware and not self-accepting, you're writing stuff on the box. It doesn't even belong here. It doesn't even have a place in your brain. But we're not self-aware enough and self-accepting enough to say, that's okay. I know that you think I talk too much. Or I know you think that I have a wild imagination, you guys. I can come up with these insane stories with my nephews. We'll be driving down the road. We'll come up with these insane stories, right? Most people don't see an imagination as a good quality. It's like lying almost, right? Those aren't my people. Not everybody is your person. But what you need to do is find your people that will allow you to be comfortable in who you are and who you want to be. I knew I'd mess that up eventually. It's a really cool picture at the end. So my challenge for you guys today is think about this, okay? Mitch Miller, my other mentor, said to me as I was finalizing this, he said, Sandra, we live every day in boxes. We eat out of boxes. We drive in boxes. Our towns are set up in boxes. Right now, you guys are sitting in box-like seats. And eventually, one day, you're going to be buried in a box. And that we don't have a choice on. But we do have a choice to get away from this box. To stand up and say, I am Sandra Gebhardt. I am a bit too much, and that's okay. You guys can do it, and I challenge you to take a step away today from the box, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. This was fun.
I did it.